Wisconsin's Afternoon News on Newsradio 620 WTMJ. It has been several days since a police officer was shot and killed in Fox Lake, Illinois, and the search is on. It continues for 3 suspects involved in that shooting. Today's TMJ4's Michele Fiore has been covering this story, and she is with us from Fox Lake. Good afternoon, Michele.
Good afternoon, John.
Boy, do we know any more about where these guys might possibly be?
You know, Chief George Folenko is the head of the Lake County Major Crimes Task Force here down in Illinois. He says that, you know, there's definitely a big possibility that these guys are still in the area near Fox Lake, that their initial escape would have been on foot. They don't know yet whether these guys had a car someplace parked or met up with a car nearby. They're going to be reviewing some DOT footage soon, and that could hopefully help them determine that part of it.
You know, I have family that lives not far from there, Michele, and I was talking to them today, and they say what's nerve-wracking is in that area, there's a lot of lakes, there's a lot of cottages. A lot of those cottages are only used on the weekends or on holidays, and now the Labor Day holiday is beginning, and if the chief of police believes they could be close, I suppose they could be holed up in one of those cottages or be in one of those heavily wooded areas. Is that kind of what the terrain is like there?
John, absolutely. And, you know, this weekend being the Labor Day weekend, assuming that, you know, people will be returning to those little homes over here for the last hurrah of summer, if you will, going out onto their boats here on the chain of lakes and possibly coming into something that, you know, they aren't expecting. So he's advising people, if you're coming down to the chain of lakes and you haven't been here in a little while, and you see something that looks a little out of the ordinary, perhaps the snaps on your boat have been taken off, to please give them a call so the police can come with you and check it all out and make sure it's safe.
Today's TMJ4's Michele Fiore is with us. What do we know about the gun that was discovered at the scene? Any new information on that today?
There is. The chief now telling us that it is a .40 caliber, and it was Lieutenant Gliniewicz's service revolver. He is not saying, though, whether that was the murder weapon. He said that there are forensics being done on the gun at this point. He won't say what kind of DNA evidence is being looked at this point. We don't know, whether that was the gun that was used in this or not yet.
We've also heard for a couple days, Michele, that there may be video that could be helpful or useful. What is the state of that video as evidence?
Honestly, to me, John, it feels like that's going to be key for police officers in finding these 3 suspects. Because the only thing that we know at this point is what Lieutenant Gliniewicz had radioed in that morning. His last transmission was that he was checking out 3 suspicious individuals, and the only thing he said about them was that it was 2 white men and 1 African-American man. And we don't know anything beyond that. And so these videos that police have recovered, not only from businesses in the area, but also from residences in the area, could hold the key to giving us a better description on what they're looking for. And so one of those apparently is being looked at more seriously than the others. That one has been turned over to the Homeland Security Department because it's on a hard drive, not just on a chip, and so the equipment that the Homeland Security uses could hopefully open that up and, again, give them a better description of what they're looking for.
Well, you would think, Michele, that if there's a credible image or a helpful image on any of that videotape, they would share it with you guys and share it with the public in hopes of, do you know this person or have you seen this person? Is there any indicator that might happen?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I wonder if at this point, now what they did tell us today was that there are several videos that they're looking over and that there is a commonality between many of them. So what that tells me is the police may have a better description on these suspects and perhaps have an idea of who perhaps they're looking for and maybe aren't sharing everything they know right now because maybe it's best that they don't share everything right now. They did tell us today that they have had at least a couple people in doing DNA swabs. So they won't call these people suspects, but certainly if somebody's coming into the police station and having to submit a DNA swab, they're definitely being looked at in this case.
I know you have been working this story hard. What do you have coming up tonight at 6 on today's TMJ4?
So coming up tonight at 6, we just delve a little bit more into, the idea of the gun that was found on the scene, how police are dealing with this. I mean, we're going into the third day now. Are they exhausted from the investigation? How are they getting through the investigation? I mean, they're working around the clock, and they're so committed to finding their colleague's killer. We've got the Labor Day weekend coming up, and as you mentioned, there are people who haven't been in their summer cottages. They haven't been in their boats for a while. And so what are police advising them to do?
Today's TMJ4 is Michele Fiore. Catch her work coming up at 6 o'clock on Channel 4. Thank you very much for being with us, Michele. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, too. Always a pleasure, John.